All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, the 2021 college football season has been full of highs and lows, but the lows have been attention grabbing, so to speak, as head football coaches of nationally recognized programs are being shown the door this season, and it's really picking up steam. So far, Virginia Tech, TCU, UConn, even though they're not a powerhouse, but still Washington State, Texas Tech, Washington, USC, and LSU are all going to be in line to have new head football coaches for 2022, while Syracuse and Miami could be joining them. And then when you add everything up, there are currently 15 openings at FBS schools. Now, in 2019, we saw 16 head coaches that were either fired or resigned. Last year, it was 10. That number is back up this season, and I think it's going to exceed the 16 that we saw in 2019. Make no mistake about it, the pressure is on these coaches. And in some cases, there are unrealistic expectations coming from some of these boosters. You look at TCU, nobody won more games as a head football coach at Texas Christian than Gary Patterson. He took over that program at a very tough time. If you go back to the late 90s when Dennis Franchione left, Gary Patterson stepped in. He, navigated his team through the Mountain West Conference along with their transition to the Big 12. He did have some success. But at the end of the day, he is currently unemployed. You think about Virginia Tech and what they were, especially in the 1990s and early 2000s, as a powerhouse in the former Big East Conference. And they did have some initial success upon joining the ACC, but it has really tapered off. And of course, that was part of, Frank Beamer retiring and then Justin Fuente taking over. And now Justin Fuente has been dismissed as well. And the bottom line is recruiting has really tapered off because when the Hokies were in their heyday, they basically had a blanket over the state of Virginia to get the top talent. No longer the case. For UConn, a school is really not a powerhouse, and of course, they don't have a conference. It's going to be tough for them to any ever think about being a powerhouse in college football. Now, Washington and Washington State's respective openings are a little bit different. I'm not going to touch on that tonight, but nonetheless, they have to make changes. Unrealistic expectations at Texas Tech. I mean, the Red Raiders, they're never going to be a team that's going to consistently contend for the Big 12 conference. They didn't do it in the original Big 12 conference. They didn't do it in the modified Big 12 conference, and they're not going to do it in the revamped Big 12 conference either. I mean, let's be realistic. Texas Tech, you have to go back to they shared the Big 12 South title once with Texas and Oklahoma, and then they were the representative of the Southwest Conference in the final Cotton Bowl for the Southwest Conference, but they didn't win the conference outright. So, the Red Raiders are not going to be a powerhouse there. USC, I've talked about this on previous podcasts, they're still chasing the glory from 15 years ago. And the bottom line is they have to find a way to recruit the state of California and recruit aggressively. But nonetheless, the boosters there want to see this program back up among national prominence. And I keep focusing on the boosters because it's the boosters who call the shots, not the ADs. The ADs have to do the bidding of the boosters. And if that AD doesn't get things done, he or she is going to be shown the door. Just look at the situation right now with Miami, which is a big reason why I don't think Manny Diaz comes back as their head coach in 2022 because the Hurricanes are going to have themselves a new athletic director. Excuse me. There are going to be plenty of head coaches who are going to get paid in a few months, regardless, either through extensions with their current employer because their current employer wants to keep them happy, or getting new contracts at new schools. And I think you're already hearing about rumors with Mel Tucker potentially getting a mega deal to stay at Penn State. So you know what? The wheels are definitely, pardon me, excuse me, not Penn State, Michigan State. But nonetheless, the wheels are definitely in motion. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to be another round of musical chairs for head coaches. I wouldn't be surprised to see coaches leaving big programs to take on an even bigger program. And I mean, you think about a couple of years ago with Jimbo Fisher, nobody thought Jimbo was going to leave Florida State. But the bottom line is A&M ponied up the bread, and of course, the rest is history. But these unrealistic expectations, and I think a lot of it has to do with the mega conferences now because we're seeing 14, and when Oklahoma and Texas joined the SEC, 16 team conferences, and it's a war of attrition, to say the least. I mean, you look at the Big Ten East right now, and I've said it before, and I'm going to keep on saying it. How are Maryland, Indiana, and Rutgers going to be able to compete with Michigan, Michigan State, Michigan, and Ohio State every year? Out of those big four, you're lucky if you get one win out of that group. You're not going to get all of them, slacking. The same thing in the SEC West. It's a dogfight. It's a battle, and it's only going to get worse once Texas and Oklahoma, uh, you know, join the fray. It's a situation that's not going to go away. I'm not going to say it's a problem because the bottom line is when people are paying money, they want to see results. And the thing is, it's like parity is the king in college football and college athletics in general. And of course, there's plenty of money floating around, and these people want to compete. They don't want to be mediocre. They don't want to take a back seat to the powers. And with that said, they want results. So the bottom line is this is going to consistently be there. It's going to affect recruiting. Things have definitely changed for recruiting as well as, players being able to transfer. That's really, it's a game changer right there. So the thing is this, it's a situation that people have to deal with. It's tough for all of these coaches, as well as their assistant coaches, because both coaches and assistant coaches have families. And, you got to move people around when the results aren't there. And it's the unfortunate part of the business. But make no mistake about it. We're getting ready for another round of musical chairs. I think we're in for some real surprises. And that's the way that the cookie crumbles. Either you win or don't win in college football. And even if you win, sometimes it just simply is not enough. But we are getting set for another round of musical chairs on the college football scene. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.